Maybe that's okay. All right, so the first person is Penny, then will be Mike in Skip, and then Lauren, and then Lila. Go ahead.
Okay, this is my first one, found last week in upstate New York. And I thought it was a Boletus edulis, but so slicing, it had no color change, no bugs because it was cooler weather. But the only reticulation was away at the top over here. So I don't know what you guys think, what you think this mushroom is.
Well, it's clearly in the Edulis group. Whether this is Edulis sensu stricto, I don't know. I think this is still being worked on, and so far genetic studies using one specific locus, which is called ITS, which is the most common thing for fungi, has failed to resolve this species if there are multiple species. I mean, they have very, very close ITS sequences. So someone has to do a more thorough study of these species using other genetic markers and then report back. And I thought that Bryn Dentinger, who is currently at Utah, was working on this topic, or has been working on this topic for a number of years. So maybe he's going to publish something very soon. But this is as close as, as we can get. It's in the Edulis sensu stricta group. And if you want to call it Edulis, I will not object to that.
The Edulis what group?
In a strict sense, sensu stricto.
Oh, okay.
That's Latin for strict sense.
Okay. All right.
What kind of trees was it growing there?
It was in a hemlock area, and there's also white pine there, and mostly dominant hemlock.
You see, there was a paper a number of years ago, and I just came across it because for whatever reason, but it was published in 2009, and it was a European study of the Edulis group in Scandinavia, and they proposed a number of different taxa for these different Edulis things growing with birch. But according to that paper, the true Edulis only grows with spruce in Europe. So whether the species became hoarctic and then adapted to indigenous trees in different geographic locations, I don't know anything about that. So, but it was an interesting paper. I should probably read it more carefully. But again, it's already 12 years old, and it didn't really bring anything new to the table. It was still using ITS. So on Mushroom Observer, there were multiple observations, of apparently an Edulis type bolete growing with different trees, sometimes with birch. So whether this is a different species or not, I don't know, but they were pale and they had light reticulation. But in the East, you would expect to see Edulis or Edulis type growing with spruces, with white pine, and perhaps even with some deciduous trees, just like in Europe. And once again, is this the same thing, or are they all different? And do we have the vicariant species in North America, basically the same thing that we have in Europe, except that after geographical isolation, they became different species? The answer to that question is still in the works. Okay, so maybe we're going to hear within the next several years about this. But it's a very interesting topic, and it's a very complicated topic too. All right, so I'm going to just stop at this point. And maybe somebody else has something else to say about this, like Dave, maybe.
Well, I can add that I find what I call Boletus edulis in areas where really the only reasonable associate would be hemlock. But most are in spruce and white pine, especially this late in the season. It's usually spruce and white pine.
That's great. Thank you. So
you said that Boletus edulis grows exclusively on spruces? I don't think so. It grows mostly on oak and occasionally on conifers.
the European study identified several taxa. Kirkoren 2009 gave new names to these edulous types that were associated with trees other than spruce. But that's in Europe, and I can probably forward that paper to you or a link to it because the paper itself is
I'm from
very
Europe,
long.
and this is we collect the Boletus from oaks,
But it's called something else. There's
Yeah.
a name for the oak-associated species in Europe, and it's not edulous. They gave it a different name. Whether it's the same thing or not as the spruce-associated edulous is not clear. And then you transfer that into North America, and the picture gets even more murky because we're in a different continent, and we have native trees like hemlock, okay, and white pine. So it's kind of difficult to conceive that the European edulous was able to adapt to these new trees. I mean, it could have happened, but it's also possible it's something else.
Yeah.
I've seen things like on YouTube or whatever from Italy where they collect king boletes under deciduous trees, I think probably oak, and they're darker than what I'm used to. The cap is pretty dark brown. Is that what you're talking about?
Are you asking me, Dave, or the or Hervé?
Hervé.
Hervé, sorry.
Hervé. I'm sorry. Yes, Hervé.
Usually the Boletus solidus we find in Europe is like fat, like with a big, the typical one is like a fat stem, and it's a bit darker than this, but
Yeah,
I don't think the
is
color.
the cap dark brown? Because that's what I've seen.
Not necessarily, no, not necessarily.
Okay.
But there is one that grows under the pine, like the pine bolete,
Well,
it's called
they have Pinophyllus.
Pinophyllus.
Yeah, Pinophyllus,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, Pinophyllus, yeah. It could have been brought, because when we brought a lot of pine trees from Europe, in the 30s, we brought some toxic mushroom, and this one is, and the pine boletes, it was common there. I wouldn't be surprised that it was brought with it.
Yeah, it is possible that early on you could have trees imported from Europe, like the Norway spruce. The nurseries were not established here in America, so they were shipping them from Europe, and then you would get edulous into this country, artificially through human activity. But I'm talking about the native edulous basically being here before the shipment of those trees already took place. Look, I'm looking at the paper by Kirkoren. Okay, so they have Boletus reticulatus, which is the oak edulous. Okay, and they have Boletus betulicola, which is the birch-associated edulous. And then you have the conifer-associated edulous sensu stricto, and also Pinophyllus. Okay, but the oak one is called the reticulatus, and it looks different.
And it has a fat stem. The stem is fat.
Well, they all have fat
like
stems.
A belly, like it has like a belly or something,
I know. I mean,
it's like inflated in the middle.
It's called clavate. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So this edulous discussion is getting very heated, but again, I could
go to another one.
Sure, and we can go to another one. I don't object to that.
Okay.
Enough is enough.
Well, so this was another bolete that I found nearby, and I thought it was going to be the same. That's what the cap looked like.
Benny, you seem to be stuck on image 3 of the first one.
Oh. Okay, let me get rid of that. Oops, screen sharing has stopped. Okay, so that's what the top cap looked like, and that's what happened when I sliced it. It had like a reddish bruising, and that there's no reticulation on the stalk that I can see.
I think it's the same species. The younger one just had very faint white reticulation at the apex. But if you found this mushroom just nearby, it's the same thing.
Oh, it's the same thing, even though it had the reddish discoloration?
It's just probably
Probably.
all.
It's
Just from being-
waterlogged.
Oh, okay. All right, well.
Yeah, I
okay.
agree with Igor that sometimes you find them without any reticulation. This looks like the same thing as the other one to me.
You see, in my understanding, the true edulus, which I did collect in Eastern Europe, back in the day before I came here, it always had prominent reticulation, and the stipe was white or whitish. Okay, and these American edulus types, I think, look different to me, to my eye, especially the ones that lack reticulations, like here in the photos that you're showing right now.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah,
next. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was going to do it a different way, and it's not working, so I have to keep screen sharing. Okay, so this one, can you see it?
You see the MO page and the, yep.
Okay, so this one, I had no idea what it was. It's growing near where I live in Pennsylvania. And it was a gill mushroom, which I have the most trouble with. No bruising when sliced. And it seemed to me that there was attached, would you call that attached gills with a notch?
Yeah, notched gills. Looks like a tricholoma to me.
So I did do okay, that's helpful. I don't even know how to get there. I tried to do the key, using the key from Bissette's book.
can you please zoom in here in this picture? It's too small. Okay, that's as
So
large as the.
they're growing in clusters and singly around a arborvitae tree, and let's see what else that's all. And then when I keyed it out, it came to Hygrophorapsis olida, which has a new name, Aphrodite something. But I didn't think that was correct because I don't have much confidence in those keys. So any help I can get would be good. Dave, why did you think it's a tricholoma?
Because of the notched attachment of the gills. Did it have a white spore print?
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a few different of these brown cap tricholomas that come up in the fall. Overall, it just looks like one to me, but the deeply notched gills and the white spore print together, those traits suggest tricholoma.
Let's see.
Hygrophorapsis has usually, what was the species you said? I never heard of that one. Hygrophorapsis.
I don't know. And they changed it to Aphroditiola.
Oh, wow,
But
I
it
never heard of that.
Didn't really look like other ones that were in this Mushroom Observer. But let's see, I also wrote that I thought it had a smell that was like radish maybe, and the taste was slightly bitter, and a white spore print. So I don't know if that puts it in a different category.
Were there any other trees in the vicinity, or just the arborvitae?
Well, there's arborvitae, there's oak. It seemed to be growing in a circle around the arborvitae, but there's oak, there's a whole row of trees there because it's the edge of a playing field. So other deciduous trees.
The radishy odor usually associated with Hebeloma, but you said the spore print was white.
Right. Well, I don't know if it was radish or if it just kind of had a spicy smell. I'm not that good at smells, but when it was fresh, it definitely had a smell that was not a mushroomy smell. So
Penny,
Yeah,
is that your last mushroom?
no, I got one more.
Okay.
Let me try to find it. My last one. Last one is, oops, where did it go? Well, oh, I know. Can you see that?
No.
No,
No?
no.
Okay.
You have to start sharing.
Oh, I can't find my, did I lose my, can you still hear me?
Oh yeah.
I can't find the screen where I, oh, I see. Okay, so corn smut on a corn stalk, which they say the most common is Ustalago mymatus, and I found this once before. It is edible. I've never eaten it, and it also, I just quickly was reading about it before coming on, and it has a lot of other interesting uses, like it's used scientifically, it's used culinary, and so I just wondered if anyone had eaten this and how they had, whether this is the edible stage, or does anyone know anything about it?
Penny, there is a Facebook group dedicated exclusively to this fungus.
You're kidding.
Yes, only for that mushroom. So maybe you can get a lot of information there.
Okay.
Honey,
I could not
I've
believe
eaten
my
it.
eyes.
I've eaten it. It's very good. It's got kind of a mushroomy corn flavor, but the corn, you can tell it was from corn. And I've had it fried in an omelet, and it's very good.
Huh. And would this stage be edible, or is it?
Well, it's
Right.
got to be a little firm. You don't want it really gooey.
I see. So it's
Yeah.
got to be, but it's gray in color.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's very choice in Mexico, and they think now that people in the kind of a long time ago, you know how when you have, if you just eat corn, you have, what is it, you have a certain dietary thing that's missing, and they think that a long time ago the people stayed healthy because they had this, they were eating this, which replaced the whatever's missing in the corn.
And the other interesting thing about it was that, you know, Americans didn't want to eat it because it was called corn smut. So it was, sounded not appetizing. And then they rebranded it, which I guess didn't take off, calling it the Mexican truffle, and to try to get more people interested in it. Anyway,
Okay.
that's my, the end of mine.
Okay, thank you, Penny. Okay, the next person is Mike in Skip. Do you have a
Nice, Helbella.
you have a name for it, Mike? We cannot hear you. You're muted.
Sorry.
Okay.
So I believe it's either crispa or lactea. And when I look under the cap, I see only very minute hairs. So I'm guessing lactea, but I don't know the difference.
It looks to me like Herbella crispa.
Crispa. Okay.
Yeah, me too, but I don't know lactea.
Yeah, I don't know lactate really.
Yeah, in the guides I've seen, they say it's smooth underneath as opposed to slightly hairy. So this is heavily magnified.
Herbella. I'm trying to look in the book of the Besets, the Ask All book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have that book?
Yes, I do.
Oh, did you look in there? That's where you found that information?
I think it was mushroomexpert.com.
Oh, okay. Okay. Helvela crispa, let's see. Solitary scattered or in groups on the ground in hardwoods or conifer forest, summer, fall, early winter, widely distributed, not recommended for eating. They consume it in Europe, but the edibility of North American collections has not been established. Let's see if they say about the other one that you said. Maculata, medium brown cap, no, lacunosa, vespertina, lactea. The white to cream color Helvela lactea, distinguish. Oh, okay, so they are saying here that the difference between Helvela crispa and Helvela lactea is the smooth to at most finely pubescent cap on their side and a cap margin that is attached to the stalk rather than free. So did you study those features?
I did, and
Okay.
I didn't know if this counts as smooth or not.
Oh, it says here, Helvela crispa is distinguished from the similarly colored Helvela crispa. So Helvela lactea could be from a smooth to a most finely pubescent cap on their side and a cap margin that is attached to the stalk rather than free. Was the cap attached to the stem?
So if you look at the cap, it seems to be attached at the top.
No, you have to look underneath because we cannot see the attachment. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So here's underneath.
Yes.
And you see the stipe was attached right at the bottom here. I cut it so
and
I
margin
could.
That is attached. So maybe yours seems to be Helvela lactea. Cool.
Okay.
But it looks to me like the cap is overhanging
attached
the
at the
stalk.
Yeah.
And
so
the margin of the cap is like the bottom part, I think.
Yeah.
And that
so it
appears to be free.
Yeah. I think that's true. So I was sort of confused because it looked smooth under the cap, but it was attached at the top.
Yeah, but it says there that it could be smooth or finely pubescent, but then the attachment to the stalk. Right.
So going by the attachment to the stipe at the top, that would be the key feature here.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
But it's gonna. The cap has to attach to the stalk someplace, or else it would be like a separate unit.
Right.
So this one is attached at the apex, near the apex of the cap. And the margin is the overhanging part. And that appears to be free. So this looks like it has a free margin.
Right. So that would move it toward crispa rather than lactea.
I am confused.
Well,
because I will have to see how is the attachment of the cap from Helvela crispa.
Yeah, but it's the attachment of the margin of the cap. So there are some of these ascos, like Gyromitras do that too. Like the whole cap is just an extension of the stalk and it's fused to the stalk down on the lower part, which is where the margin is. And I think that's what they're saying here about Helvela lactea. That the whole cap is like fused to the stalk rather than overhanging the stalk, which would be a free margin. I think that's what they mean.
So you can see here fairly clearly that the margin of the cap is not attached to the stalk.
I get it now. Thank you, Dave. Now I see it's the margin. Okay, thank you.
And you can see
I think
here.
that's what they're saying.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Oh, you're welcome.
So this is an Amanita growing under white pine. And I was wondering if I could get help with an ID on that.
Igor, are you there?
Oh, I'm here.
Is the Gesowi with a new name?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
Well, there might be two different ones here. The
I
one
think
looks
that I
like,
saw, yeah. Mhm.
yeah, the
That
one
one
looks
looks
like
different.
a muscaride species, and this one I'm not so sure of, but this one's a little old though, too, so
We have to
It's-
see the base. This one looks more like
this one
a
looks muscaride.
muscaroid, yeah. This one has a gray vulva. I also think it's from section Amanita, so we're talking about the same section. The only thing I can think of that grows so late in the season from section Amanita, other than Muscaria, is Crenulata.
Crenulata.
Yeah, but Crenulata has champagne-colored vulva.
Yeah, that doesn't look like crenulata.
No, no.
That's a funny one.
Yeah, this one is just too old to even talk about. We have to see the bulb.
Uh-huh. Okay.
These are too young. The ones in the previous picture with the gray vulva.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So
Okay.
I would say this is from section Amanita, definitely. This
Okay.
one that's currently being shown, possibly muscaroid.
Okay.
The cap looks funny, kind of a bronze color, at least
Yeah.
on my screen. And the vulva is also grayish.
Yeah.
So I don't think Muscaria has gray vulva.
This was almost metallic.
What else can there be? So late under white pine.
Yeah, I think what appears to be gray patches might just be the way the camera is picking up the contrast between the shiny cap surface that's reflecting light and the patches that are not reflecting as much light.
Can you zoom in, please, if possible?
Sure. Let's see. Does that help?
Oh yeah. No, I think the vulva is gray. It was also gray in the young ones, which I think are the same species. So this is definitely not Muscaria or Chrysobolema, which is our eastern Muscaria variety Gissoae formerly. I don't know. I've got to think about this. Got to do some research. Nothing
Okay.
really rings a bell right away.
Okay. Thank you, Igor.
Yeah, sure. What do you think, Dave? Any additional comments?
I can't think of anything to propose for this other than Chrysobolema, I guess is what you have to say these days. I mean, multisquamosa has UV remnants that are a little bit gray, but the ground color doesn't look right for multisquamosa.
Yeah, this looks kind of bronze, to me.
Yeah, I've seen Muscaria types with that sort of tinge on the cap. Once it gets late in the season and the nights start getting a little colder, the colors get a little strange on the muscarade caps.
Well, they certainly do grow with the white pines. I mean, I've seen Muscaria,
Oh yeah,
growing
absolutely, yeah.
with the white.
I saw Muscaria, what was clearly Muscaria, about half a mile from here under another grove of white pines.
See, I'm looking at this type even at this magnification, and I see these concentric rings, which are typical of Muscaroid taxon.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
think the gray is just the way the camera's picking up contrast. Because there's a lot of reflection off that cap surface.
Right. And you see the yellowing as well on the cap and on the left.
Yeah, where is the cap surface broken a little bit there on the left, and then you can see the the yellow pigment,
Yeah.
sort of the layer of yellow pigment in there. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's probably, you know, what used to be Gassoii.
Right, and no striations on the cap, you know, because Muscaria does have striations, but they show up late and are very short.
Wow.
Yeah, the cap has to expand before the striations can be seen.
Exactly. So at this stage of development, Muscaria does not have any striations.
Yeah, and they
So,
often have this sort of globose cap when they're young.
so for the time being, a tentative idea would be Amanita chrysoblema. That's the oldest name for the North American yellow flag Eric.
Can you write the name on?
I am typing
chat?
it right now.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Oh,
Igor.
does it chryso means yellow by any chance?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and of course I
It
misspelled
means
Amanita.
golden.
Amanita.
Oh, Amanita, yeah,
What's
you
it?
mixed up
It
the
means
white.
golden.
Was it?
Oh,
Oh, it means
golden.
golden?
Oh,
Oh,
chryso,
okay.
chryso. Ah,
Chryso,
interesting.
chryso, yeah. Well, some shade of yellow.
Mike, these were really nice pictures.
Thank you. And this is crust. This is a standing spar. When you get up close, this is what you see.
You have a name?
I do not.
I know it.
I expected you would.
Yeah. It looks like Phlebia. Oh my goodness, I forgot the species. It's so common. Phlebia radiata. Oh gosh.
Phlebia.
Phlebia. Oh man, Phlebia. No, I'm not sure about the radiata. Let me check the name.
Okay.
Yes. So radiata, I think Phlebia radiata. Let me check in my papers. PH Phlebia.
Phlebiosa.
Phlebia radiata. Yes, Phlebia radiata. 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 Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
It was quite striking.
Yes, beautiful. Yep. I'm surprised the way it is growing. I never find it like that. I always find
Yeah,
dogs that are horizontal.
vertical.
Yes. Beautiful.
But your cobalt crust takes the cake. I mean,
What did you mean?
from a couple weeks ago, the
Oh,
one you found on the island on the underside of the log that was
Oh, okay.
beautiful cobalt blue.
oh yes. Mhm. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now Laila.
Wait, I think it's Lauren first.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Leila. Lauren. Lauren? We don't hear you.
Oh, poor Lauren. I know this happened to you before, right? So is there a way for you to restart whether it's the sound system or maybe come back in to the Zoom?
Oh, she's saying that Laila can go first.
Okay. Let me get my thing up here. Hang on. Shoot. All right, here we go. Found it. Sorry. Okay, so I think most, if not all of these I'm showing today, I found on Sunday afternoon. I did not go to the 4A too far away, but I wandered around locally. So I think this is a tricholoma. I think it's subjunctum. I used the Baroni book and Mushroom Expert. So let's take a look at it. It's kind of this yellow olive color with the dark disc, somewhat like an umbro, and these fibrils that go out towards the edge. They're kind of striking. It's growing in leaf litter, hardwood forest, oak, beech, hickory. There are a fair number of them. I kept seeing them in different spots, these little groupings of them. Okay, yeah, I think I have some better close-ups here.
What's the habitat like, Lila?
Fairly moist woods, hardwood, oak, beech, hickory, some black birch.
Any conifers?
No, I didn't really, there's not really any conifers in this woods. So I think they're supposed to be, or can be, or often are, maybe it's required that there's conifers with this species, but so I may have it wrong.
I find what I call subsajunctum in both mixed woods that are conifers and hardwoods, and sometimes where there's only mostly oak. Often with subsajunctum, there's areas of the gills that are a little bit yellow, but it doesn't always come through on a photo because it's like a pale yellow flush. Actually,
Yeah.
you can sort of see it
Yeah, you
there
can see it,
toward
yeah.
the margin. Yeah, there it is.
And on the upper part, edge of the photo.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
usually you see, there's a few of the trichomonas that do that, but subsajunctum and subluteum does that too, but this one looks a little dark for subluteum. And I think, I forget if subluteum, well, I have a tricholoma book right here, actually. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if that one-
the stipe was, I don't know why I didn't use my knife. I just happened to tear this apart. Hollow, seemed to be hollow on the stipe, this yellowing of the gills on the underside. And actually the stipe is somewhat, it's mostly white, but a little bit yellow. Can you see that? Yeah,
Yeah.
here you can see it a little bit yellow in the mid portion of the stipe.
Yes, subluteum can have a yellow stipe at the top, or sometimes completely entirely.
Okay.
Kind of looks dark for subluteum, especially these fibrils.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, a little bit dark and streaky for subluteum. But subluteum and subsajunctum, and there's also Davisii, they can be a little easy to confuse. Davisii usually has a more pointed umbo, though, I'm pretty sure. I'm looking
More
at it
importantly,
now.
the VZA has these fibrils on the cap edge, which
Oh, okay.
subjunctum don't have. I think it's a species group. I had something sequenced through NJMA from last season, and seems like it matched something from Ohio, but European. So whether this is subjunctum, I don't know. We see this in the Pine Barrens a lot, or something that looks like this, but there's
Did
mostly
we-
conifers in there.
Didn't we found it on Cactus Island, Igor?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
I wrote the name for it. I mean, I didn't
Oh,
find it.
yeah, I remember. You
Yep.
were holding the cap only.
Yes, that's right. Actually, maybe actually, I think I found it. I remember actually where I found it.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. You were holding just the cap.
Yes, the
Yep.
stipe was damaged. It wasn't in very
Mhm.
good shape. So it had a cap exactly like this. So
Yep.
different habitat. It was growing under pitch pine. It could have been some scrub oak around, but I think it was just pine. And Lila's habitat is, Morristown area, exclusively deciduous, no conifers. So maybe a species group.
Yeah, I have the tricholoma book here, and they call it sajunctum in the tricholoma book, but it's the same thing as subsajunctum. They say that it grows in either coniferous woods or mixed woods, but they don't mention purely deciduous woods. But I think I have found this in oak woods, but maybe it was something else.
Now, Dave, the authorship for Sejunctum, that's European, right?
Yeah, well, I think so, but they've gone back and forth with the North American one. They've gone back and forth between Sejunctum and Subsejunctum a few times, and I guess when the Tricholoma book came out, they, the Bisset's just used Sejunctum, but it's
Well,
the
yeah.
same thing, I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's not the same thing. Sejunctum is European, and we may
Well,
not
no,
have.
no, no. What I mean is, regardless of which name is applied in North America, you're talking about the same taxon. It's just there's two different names that have been used.
I
in
don't think
North
it's the same taxon. I don't even think we have Sejunctum here in the
Well,
strict
no,
sense.
but that name has been used. All I'm saying is the name has been used.
Yes, the name has been used
Sejunctum-
incorrectly, but this,
Sejunctum is in the North American Tricholoma book.
I
And what I'm
understand.
saying is when the Bisset's call it Sejunctum, they're talking about what is now currently being called Subsejunctum. It's the
Yeah,
same.
well, I mean, that book was written before the DNA was done on any of the
Right,
trichomonas.
right.
So,
Well, that's all I'm saying is that
Yeah.
it's in North America. Those two names have been applied to the same taxon. That's what I'm saying.
and perhaps both incorrectly.
Maybe.
Okay, Dave and
Yep.
Igor, please
All
take.
right,
Yeah, let's move on.
we're done. We're
Move
done
on,
here.
move on.
The
Moving on.
tricholoma.
Okay.
Moving on. All right, so here's a hardwood log that had a lot of this stuff all over it. Unfortunately, it was mostly getting old, but it was very prolific and seemed like it was producing black spores or, very, very dark spore print. There's the underside.
The Satharella species.
Yeah, this was much.
The stem is very short, yeah?
Not super short.
Yeah.
Maybe for the
Were they
size.
fragile? Were they fragile or were they fairly resilient? I think it's a Satharella, but
I'm trying to remember. I think it was fairly resilient. But yeah, maybe for the size of the cap,
That's what I meant, yeah.
slightly
yeah,
short.
this one that's in the lower left where you show the group that's hygrophanous, that's got the dark cap margin
Yes.
and the pale inner part toward the disc. That looks like Satharella.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Hypholoma does that. I don't think Hypholoma is all that. There's those 3 Hypholoma species we get on wood. Fasciculare, Lateridium, and Capnoides. I don't think it's any of those because I don't think they're well, that sort of leaves Satharella. They look like Satharella to me. So
Did the stipe snap? A lot of times on Saccharella, if you bend it, the stipe will snap.
Good question, Nina. I
yeah,
can't.
it's fragile. That's why I was asking about that.
It
Yeah.
should be hollow too in Cepharella often.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can't remember. I didn't take any notes. It was also getting dark, so I was rushing.
Can you zoom in on this picture? I think I see some corrugations on the cap margins. I don't think this is delineata, or what used to be called delineata. Diffrasia gossipina. You see, it looks like it's a little bit corrugated somewhere, or maybe it's just an impression.
Moves.
Yeah,
Some of the Satharellas are weakly striate.
Or maybe
toward the
that's what
cap.
this is.
Yeah.
They're just striations.
Yeah, some of them are weakly striate along the margin. Yeah, but this is not the forma delineata thing. That's more
No.
more robust and thick fleshed,
Yeah.
and usually at least, and more distinctively wrinkled radially.
Right, but this is still a robust species.
Yeah, they're pretty big ones.
yeah.
Yeah, they're good size.
And it's interesting. There's several trees that always seem to have a lot going on. There'll be nothing in the woods. and I'll get to one of my, quote, favorite trees, and there's always stuff going on. It's very interesting, and this is one of the spots, one of the trees that, the down trees. So,
What have you seen besides this mushroom on that tree?
oh, I knew somebody was going to ask me that. I can't remember.
We got you.
Yeah. So, in spring was when I was there. So spring mushrooms.
You might
So,
be able to, if you have a geotag location on your photos, you might be able to search that way from your photos.
yeah, to find other things there. Yeah, if I bothered to post it or something. Yeah. All right.
However, I just went to Michael Coe's website and I searched his Cepharellus. There's one called Cepharella spadiciogrisea that looks like yours.
Adesiogresia.
I'm gonna put the link right now so you can
Yeah,
click
that-
on it and see.
That's a spring species though, isn't it? Does it say on Mushroom Observer what the what season?
Let's see, Saprobic. Yeah, spring and early summer,
Mm.
but kind of looks similar.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
I'll take a
that's
look
one of the
at it.
ones that has the striations that.
Yes, correct.
Mhm. There's another spring one too that looks pretty subvernalis or something, I think.
Yes, it's there too.
Yeah. And these look like those. And you know what? Some of these so-called spring species have split seasons anyway. They come back in the fall. That's not always noted in the literature, but you'll see it with a lot of different things.
All right.
There's also this one he calls Cepharella pululiformis. It kind of looks like it.
Yeah, that one I think has a partial veil, but you wouldn't see it at this stage because these are kind of old. And I think Puliiformis has a partial veil that breaks apart pretty early on, and it's like brown to start with, I think. But then once they fade, these guys are hard to identify, even when they're in prime condition. But once they get faded like this, then they start to all look the same.
Right. Ko says here, when young, with a belt of white veil tissue along the margin.
Ah, right. Yeah, Puliiformis usually has that. But ones that are this old, that might, it might rain or something and that gets lost.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at one more different thing and then I'll turn it over to Lauren.
You're welcome to look in Smith and Hessler's or Thier's Cepharella of North America. I have the link to that tome.
right.
So you can search for your Cepharella in there. Good luck.
All right. Yeah, they're
Laila, another thing to consider is that some Satyrellas grow in bouquet fashion, and some it could be a group, but they're not connected to the others.
okay.
Cespetos, you mean?
I don't know the right word. Together, several of them are coming together in a bunch, and some of
Yes.
them are not. Yeah.
Cespetos. Yeah.
Oh, okay, thanks. Or like the Sarmillaria. I get it. Okay.
Okay. All right, so here's a little, quite small Amanita. Seemed to be somewhat yellowish, had a nice ring just coming off the underside of the cap, starting. There's the basal vulva, looks like.
You get a name for it, Lila?
Hang on.
Can we see the cap, please?
Yep. There's the cap.
Super tiny.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Yep.
I think that's
Yeah,
the kind that we've been
I
seeing.
think it's one of the species from the lavendula group.
Yeah, I think so too. Look at the bulb. It's very big and it's marginate. It almost looks like it has a limbate vulva. Kind of reminds you of the Phalloidea in some ways.
People mistake this for Palladium or
Yeah.
Phalloides. Yeah, people mistake the lavendula, and they used to call it citrina because of the yellowish tinge on the cap. And they don't always have it though. Some of them are almost pure white.
Oh,
So
she
it's a
got the
group in
name. She got the name under the notes.
Yeah,
Lavendula group. There you go.
Yeah.
And the basil bulb is like a marshmallow. It's like really, it's kind of squishy.
Yes, soft. So there are currently three species in this group in Eastern North America, Lavendula, namely, Americitrina, and the last one is
Cornelia something. It's named after Boz.
Cornelia hybrida. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm going to type them in if you're interested.
all right, so there's really three possibilities then?
Yeah, they're all kind of morphologically indistinguishable. You have to do maybe a little bit of spore measurements. You can separate two of them, and you have to do DNA. So who cares? Lavendula group is good enough.
Okay, okay. All
I've
right.
been seeing hundreds of these in my area the last 2 weeks. I've seen well over 100, I'm sure.
Yeah, like every 100, 200 yards, I'd see one.
Yeah, they're usually solitary, or
Yep.
maybe you'll see two of them, but I've been seeing a lot of them in all kinds of woods too.
Now, all these names are still provisional. I don't think any of them have been published. So this is on Rod's website, and no papers have been written.
Okay.
But citrina itself is not a legitimate epithet. In Europe they have Mappa, M-A-P-P-A. That's the European Lavendula, sort of. I've seen it in Europe when I was there 2 years ago.
Leila, is that your last mushroom?
Yeah, that's enough. Well,
Okay, Lauren, are you ready or what?
Yes, can you hear
Oh,
me?
okay, go ahead. Yes.
Okay. Mm. Oh, shoot, I think this needs to be open. I need to open this up before I do this screen
Yep.
share, right? Hold on a second. Nope. Mm. Sorry, hold on. Huh. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, so I just found a whole bunch of mushrooms about 2 hours ago. Actually, maybe 2.5 hours ago at this point. And I figure somebody's going to ask me what kind of tree these were under. I think it's a hemlock.
Looks like hemlock to me.
Okay, so
Yep. Definitely hemlock, yeah.
all right, so almost all of these except for one were found under hemlock. This is one of them. And almost all of these, I have absolutely no idea what these are. This had yellow, I guess it's some kind of lactarius, I guess, because it has yellow latex coming out of it. You can see it there.
Does it start out white and turn yellow?
I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of times you won't see it coming out of the gills while it's still white. You won't start to see it till it's yellow. This is Lactarius venecio rufescens.
Yes, I agree with you, Dave. I was
Oh.
about to say that too.
Okay.
I'm going to type it in.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'll add it to INAT.
So this one grows with conifers. The hardwood version of this is called Chrysarias.
Yeah, and it's paler. This one's a
Yeah,
little
it's-
bit like
The cap is paler.
like yellowish kind of tan, and the other one is it's like an oak species usually, the Chrysarias.
Right.
They do the same thing. They have white latex that becomes pretty bright sulfur yellow.
But
after
it's
maybe a
instant.
minute.
It's instant. You cannot even see it white right away. I mean,
Oh,
it's just,
I usually see the white, but it is pretty fast. It's within a minute, but it's
oh, really?
sometimes
Okay.
faster. Yeah, well, sometimes I see the white, for maybe 20 or 30 seconds.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different species that instantly changes to yellow.
I think Chrysorheus might be a little quicker. I'm not sure, but it is white latex that turns yellow.
I remember it takes a little time to change. I remember
it
I
takes
found
like-
it in Cactus Island and I found it in a park near me under pines and oaks. And it was lighter color on the cap. Nina told me about that one. The Chrysoreus.
Yeah, they're both considered to be toxic.
Ooh.
I should mention I brought home almost all the stuff that I found just in case if you guys had questions. So, all right, let's see, next one. Oh. Okay, I found two of these little guys. It was super fragile. It broke apart while I picked it up, but then I found another one that I was able to keep intact, which is this one.
I found the same one, but I could not identify it.
Was it slimy?
Well, everything was wet. I don't remember if it was wet or slimy. I have them in the bag. I can check.
Is that the like white mycelium on the base? On the lower-
Yeah, it was.
It's very big. Look at like almost half of it.
Can we zoom in on this picture, please?
Sure.
You don't know spore color, do you?
No, I
Looks
can
like-
do that tonight. But
It
no,
looks like a little old. It might not drop any.
Nope. Okay.
Mm. What about the gills? Can we see the gills now,
yeah.
please? Pretty, please.
Because there is one that is called Arrhenia, but the gills are very decurrent, which don't seem to be the case here.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of there are these small Diconica species that grow on sticks and litter and things like that, but those have dark spores, and I don't think the gills are. I think the gills are too widely spaced here. This
Yeah,
one
too
looks kind of
spaced.
old.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
this one looks kind of
Let
old.
me
And it
see.
might be hard to get a good read on it, really.
Not much left of those gills here.
Mhm.
Kind of broken off.
There's
Okay, so
I don't know if this helps at all.
what's the spore print like? Is it going to be pink or white?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be dark because this is an old mushroom to begin with, and the gills are
Mhm.
still pretty white. So,
Oh. Right.
Okay. Well,
Thanks for trying.
well, thank you for trying. Let's see.
Any odors? Did you taste it?
No.
Okay.
I was busy. I was walking a dog, holding an umbrella, trying to take pictures in the rain. I had a lot going on. I did smell one of these things though. Okay, this is another one under the hemlocks. All of these were all like right next to each other. I'll show you the cap. There's the cap.
Seems like you have some pines in there too. There are pine needles.
There are pines down a ways. Yeah, these were closer to the pines. Yeah.
from the silence, it can be inferred that nobody has the slightest clue what these are.
I know, when I picked all these today, I was like, what the heck? I didn't recognize anything.
Can you please zoom in on the on this one? Kind of small.
Sure.
See the gill attachment.
Yeah, the gills appear to be really widely spaced.
Yeah.
That's kind of a, you would think it would be a clue, but they're kind of beat up too. They look like they're pretty old. And it looks like the gills are actually maybe stuck together as well. Like two or
Yeah,
three
I just
gills
thought of
stuck
something.
together.
On Mushroom Observer, we would call it Agaricales sensovato. Agaricales in the broad sense.
Yeah, it's got gills.
Oh yeah, you
there
can
you go.
see, if you look at the edge of the cap, you can see that the gills are together. Because you can see it like 1, 2, 3, but there is only one. It looks like one, but if you keep looking towards the edge, it's 1, 2, 3. Yeah. They're together. So there is more space between the gills.
It looks like they're probably widely spaced anyway, but yeah, but they appear to be extremely widely
Even-
spaced
yeah,
because
yeah.
they're bunched together and stuck together.
Yep.
Yeah, once stuff gets this old and beat up, it's really, really difficult.
All right. Oh, these were kind of neat. These little like whitish little,
Cupophilus. Cupophilus, something like that.
Are you sure this is from the Hygrophoriaceae? Doesn't look like it.
Waxy caps.
You think they're waxy caps?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
No?
Gills don't look right.
Yeah, they're too closely spaced and not decurrent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they're
they're
also
supposed to be
very, very
different.
narrow.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Well, maybe you know, we might be wrong, but yeah, but my first impression was not
I don't think so.
hygroscopy or anything like
Or
that.
Gliophorus or Cupophilus, none of those guys.
Yeah, it's certainly not Cupophilus.
Yeah.
So there's these things that used to be in Mycena. There's like a few split off genera. Hemimycena.
No, not those.
You don't think so?
It seems too thick. The cap is too thick.
Yeah, probably too robust.
And no,
for
no,
Hemimycena.
and no striations.
I don't think all the Hemimycena have striations. There's like 3 or 4 species on the Quebec site. They don't all look the same too. They're all white. That's about it.
Okay.
You don't see these documented in very many of the field guides because they're kind of small and, well, at least the Hemimycena, I mean, they're kind of
That's what I
small and
I'm sorry, Dave.
that's all right. Go ahead.
That's what I was going to say. The Hemimycena are smaller and fragile looking.
Well, how big are these?
they
Are
were
they-
small. They were,
they're
they were very small.
You can see the needles for comparison. So these are probably like maybe 1.5 inches. Maybe right.
They were maybe smaller than that. Like if you're talking about,
The
height.
the overall height, not the cap width. How tall were
Okay.
they?
Oh man.
Yeah, maybe somewhere around that. Definitely not bigger than that. They were pretty tiny.
I think that
All right. Lauren,
Yeah.
we still have some people that didn't show their mushrooms from the emails, and it's already 8:12.
Okay. All right.
Maybe we need to leave a little space for those people.
Yeah, just go on Champignon du Quebec Gnomes Latin. If you Google that, I think you might get their site and look under Hemimycena and see if there's anything. There's another
Okay.
split off genera too that I can't think of right now that used to be Mycena.
Okay. All right. And if we have time later, I have one more, but I'll log off or stop
Thank you,
sharing.
Lauren.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So the first person is March Coach. Are you there?
Marisol, I don't know what mine was. I just sent you a picture.
Yeah, give me 1 second, okay? Guys, do you see that or you don't?
I don't see it.
Oh gosh, okay,
Nope, don't
it's a
see it.
little tricky. Give me 1 chance, okay? Oh geez, how am I going to do that? 1 second, please.
I think it was just a white polyspore, but it didn't look like those cheese ones we found.
1 second, 1 second.
It wasn't fat.
All right. Okay, can you see it?
No,
Oh
nice to see you.
gosh, how am-
You can skip me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't share the screen. Give me 1 second, please. Oh my goodness, I lost it. No,
It's all right, Marisol. You can skip me.
no. I lost the image from Zoom meeting. Don't give it a little time. 1 second, 1 second. Let me make it bigger. And then because I didn't share the screen, that's my mistake. I'm so sorry. I'm not good with this. Let me see. How do I do that? Oh, jeez. Okay. Did you see it?
Yes,
Ah, okay.
that's
So-
the underside.
Okay. Oh goodness, how I make it won't be bigger.
We're probably not going to get a spore print.
It doesn't get bigger, the image.
No, do you have another picture?
So you send me 3. Let me see if I go to view.
Nothing.
Oh, it's coming, it's loading.
Okay, now.
Okay, it's
No,
loading.
that's the same one.
Yeah, let me say the other photos.
That one. So that's the top of it. It's dark. I think it's just old.
Yeah.
And that's the underside. I ripped one off.
Very old.
So I ripped one off and turned it around, and then I took a picture of the ones that were there. It's inside a rotted
Oh yeah, it looks like the
birch.
blue cheese. Kind of.
Is that what it
But it
is?
looks a
Oh,
little
yeah, it's
old.
gray on the other side. It's blue cheese?
Gray.
Okay.
It
All
looks
right.
like
Thank
that.
you, Marisol.
That's all you want to know?
Yep.
Ah, okay. That's easy. You send
All
another.
right. I'm
you
gonna
send-
mute myself.
Oh, you have another email or you send it twice?
No, I must have sent it twice.
Oh, okay, you sent it twice. Polypore at my house. Okay, now Virginia. Virginia, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. We took a ride out to toward Western Pennsylvania, and this is in Bedford. And I was walking along these trees on the edge of along the parking lot, and I saw this. I just had to take a picture of it. I didn't collect it.
Beautiful.
It's- yeah, so really pretty. Cerioporus squamosus. And then the next picture should be the underside that shows the pores. And cerio means honeycomb in Greek.
Oh,
So, and squamosus means scaly.
wow, cool.
And that was the prettiest one. And then there were a couple of, yeah, old ones like that.
Mhm.
And this was on a decaying log, and that was the underside of the old one.
Just a little blurry, but yeah, we got this one. Beautiful.
Did you do anything with the young one?
I didn't collect it. No, I read that they were edible when they're really young, but yeah, I didn't collect it. I don't look for mushrooms to eat. But that was really just so pretty.
Virginia, what was the meaning of cerio?
Honeycomb.
Ah, because in Spanish, cera, C-E-R-A means wax.
Wax, yeah, Sarah is waxy too. That was I
Mhm.
had trouble finding the meaning of it, but I
Yeah.
have a little book that has Greek and Latin and English, and I found it in there.
Nice.
It said honeycomb.
Mhm.
I've never tried it myself, but I've heard you can pickle this and it has a particular flavor, but I've never tried it.
That's a
Yeah, I had them once. Somebody used to be in our local club, cold marinated some of these in the refrigerator in spice vinegar, and they were pretty good.
Mhm.
But this one might be too old.
Even this one, yeah.
Yeah, even this one, yeah.
It
And you would,
is?
and maybe if you just use the margin.
This one looks old, Dave? This one?
Yeah, it looks like it looks like it's, well, for this particular species to try to
Oh.
eat it, mature is old.
Okay.
So a mature specimen is going to be like, it's going to start to be tough. So you really have to try to get them when they're really young.
I saw,
Like,
yeah, I saw an iNaturalist. There were thousands and thousands of observations of that because probably it stands out so much and it can be so pretty. Okay, the
Yeah,
next,
and that's a mushroom that usually you find in the spring. So
right.
it's an example of something that does seem to have a split season, and sometimes it comes back
Right.
in the fall.
Okay, so this was along I-80 rest area up north of State College. And this is a small slime mold. It's a couple of millimeters tall. It's a dark stalk. So go to the next one. That was it was on a dead branch on the ground. That's where I found it.
on this branch.
A dead branch. I don't know what kind, but that's the stalk with the what are called cysts inside the stalk, and they have no idea what the purpose of those are. Just round, whatever round things and sort of in the stalk. Okay, so keep going. And that's where I squashed the whole fruiting body there. You could just see the capillicium along the edge. And keep going. The next picture.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
the capillicium. You can see it's hard to see on there, but it has little blunt points all along. And closer to the base, they're smooth. And they're sort of ochraceous color. Have loops and rings like that. So the spores are pretty colorless. They're about 6. That's a picture, a little sharper picture of the spines on it. I don't know if I have a picture of the spores, but they're just plain round with a few warts on
The
them and
things here,
colorless.
those
Yeah.
little things are the spores, yeah?
That might be a spore there, but it's not very clear.
Not clear, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Arceria cinerea.
Okay.
Now, that is called the white, whatever slime mold, the white. And this shows that the common names sometimes are not very good because this Arceria cinerea can sometimes be brownish or whatever, yellowish. Sometimes they're not always white. But
It
that's
looks like it says the white carnival.
yeah, that's the one. Yeah, the common name, which I don't like common names. I don't
Yeah.
like. So
Virginia,
what's that?
yeah, Virginia and cinerea, I think means grayish or ash.
Gray. Yeah, sometimes they're a
Yeah.
little grayish, but somewhere between white or to grayish.
Mhm.
Yeah, but this was a little more brownish. So this species can be brownish, not dark brown, but brownish. It's the only thing it could be with that longer stalk. And the capillicium and so on. So that's what I'm pretty sure it is. Okay, so
Okay.
then the next one.
Whoa.
Oh, Lycogala epidendrum. And this was in the same rest area. So one of the workers came over to me and he said, "Am I finding anything good?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking for slime molds." And he says a lot of people stop there and look for mushrooms, edible mushrooms, but I wasn't looking for those. So that's up close, and that's showing what that what it should look like, the peridium on the outside. Now these are like cherry pink or red when they're young, but this is mature, so it's no longer that cherry pink color.
It's interesting to notice the different tones that are together there.
Different what?
Tones of color, the different
Oh,
colors that
yeah,
you can
I
see
guess
there.
that's just the camera. I don't know. It's kind of just a shiny brownish.
Are there good resources for identifying slime molds?
Oh, yes, yes. Just a second. Well, I'll hold it up later when we're done with this. Steve Stevenson's book is the best one to start with, but I have another one that's pretty good. But okay, this is what's called the pseudo capillicium. It's not true capillicium because it forms differently. It sort of looks sausage-like, almost wrinkled. And then the spores are reticulate, and they're about 7 microns.
But that means that this one will never develop a capillitium, only the pseudo capillitium, never the true capillitium.
They don't call it true capillicium. It's called pseudo.
No.
Pseudo, pseudo capillicium, because it's formed differently, and I can't explain exactly how, but inside of the fruit body, it's just formed in a different way.
Yeah, I think Marisol wants to know if this species also has true capillicium.
No, oh, no. Okay, this is in the group Lyciales, and that group has no true capillicium for, I think, almost all of the species. So this one, so it only has this type of capillicium, but not true capillicium.
Okay, thanks. That's what I wanted to know.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's one I cut open to show what the spore mass looks like when it's mature. It's kind of ochraceous, pinkish ochraceous.
I always thought they looked like toothpaste inside.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
they are young.
it's very, the spores fly all over. Too, they're very.
Okay, when they're old, when they're more mature like this.
When
I'm
it's
sorry,
mature,
right.
they just, it's toothpaste when it's young and red. Okay, and it was on this
Right.
particular log. I cut it off, that branch sticking out the log.
The colors are really pretty.
Yeah, okay, so I think that was the last one.
Yeah.
For now.
Thanks. Okay, I have one and then Dave. I have only one observation. And I have seen this rusula for many years, but I just have no interest in rusulas. But this one, I found it on Saturday. It called my attention because when I came close to see it, it had blue on the edge of the gills. And I thought I was having like an optical illusion because I never noticed that before. I didn't see the blue anywhere else. You can see how huge this thing was. Everything is huge. The size of it, the size of the spores, the size of the basidia, the size of the cystidia, and I'll show you that.
Very nice to me.
What did you say, Nina?
Oh, no, didn't say anything.
I heard you. Okay, so you can see how very short the stipe is in comparison to the size of the cap. And the cap was kind of like a half weight of it, not the whole cap. I showed you what I meant with the color. And when I took it under the microscope, the one to see for the micro details, I couldn't see any blue. All I saw is that the how do you say that? The HIFA, the tissues were less dense all along the margins. So it was kind of an optical illusion to me. Okay, so in the gill, the white part was more dense. The blue part was less dense, is what I saw, but I don't know why. And I did the micro. This is the, I don't know the right names yet. This is the cystidia. It struck me because the shape was so unusual, like constricted and with these weird ends. It was very, very long, 74 micro units, 4 by 6.1. I mean, it has a little variation on the shapes, and sometimes it looks like it has some contents, like golden contents inside, or granulate content. I don't know the right words.
Where were those cystidia on the fruit
I'll show you in
body?
a picture. You're going to see it in the size of the gill.
The faces of the gills.
Faces, okay.
Yeah, that's pleurocystidia.
Oh, okay. I'm going to write the word right here. Pleurocystidia. Pleurocystidia. Chylocistidias on the edge, and now pleurocystidia.
Yeah, chylocistidia are right on the edge.
Yeah.
Like
Okay,
the blade.
the spores were up to 14.8, almost globose, and it has a prominent apiculus. And the ornament, I didn't do Meltzer's. I saw some ornamentation. I know it may not be the best thing to do, but I saw some ornamentation. But I thought that with the other features, it was maybe easy to identify it, but I don't really know. The basidia was so long. Basidia was 66 by 12.3. In my opinion, is very long for all the other types of basidia that I see in many mushrooms that I scope.
Yeah, the spores are really large for russula spores.
Oh, okay. And this is like 40x photo micro of the gills. So it's growing on the sides. I do not know too much about russulas. I don't know if on the edge they grow the same thing, because in this photo that I have here, they are growing all around.
Yeah, some kinds of mushrooms have pleurocystidia and chylocistidia that look the same.
Oh, okay.
It's not all that unusual.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm learning about russulas, even that, yeah, just one at the time. And more of that pleurocystidia. And I think that's it. So when I went online to look for some ideas, I found a name, but I didn't check that it was European species. It didn't say in the site that it was from Europe. So I posted this on Facebook, and one person from Europe and one from Canada told me that they didn't think so, that it was the name that I was suggesting. But I have no idea what it could be. I tasted it, was very plain, didn't have any particular smell. And when I held it, it broke into pieces. It fell apart so easily, very crumbly. So I got the name chloroids, which is a variety of Russula delica, but I have no idea. Does anybody know anything about this? And look at the cap, didn't grow complete. It's kind of deformed.
Well, I was looking up Russula brevis, the mushroom expert, and it says there that some collections can be mild. Usually the blue shades on the gills and the near the stipe is associated with the variety acrior.
Oh.
Russula
Can you
brevis.
write the name?
Can I write the name? Yeah, sure.
Please. So it will be.
I've got an
the best-
observation.
Huh?
I have an observation of that brevipies with the blue stain on somewhere on Mushroom Observer, found in the
Okay.
Adirondacks, I think last year.
Okay. And it was huge too. Acrior. Oh yes, somebody suggested that name. Yeah. Variety acrior. Okay. Correct.
Yeah, I learned that species many years ago at one of the comophores.
Oh, okay.
That variety. I think actually I collected it, so kind
I
of stuck
think-
with me.
I think the acrior is usually hot, isn't it?
No, this one was no hot.
Well, I thought that all brevipees were hot, but apparently not.
Oh no, because I tasted it was plain. Yep.
Yeah, I always thought they weren't hot, but they don't taste good either, and they smell kind of bad too.
Oh yeah. Okay, so then this one is going to be Rusula brevipes. They have the blue tone on the edge of the gills, the Rusula brevipes.
Did you measure the spores?
I did. I measured the spores. 12.3 up to 14.8.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, it's big. It's, you know, Kuo says 7 to 10 by 5 to 7. So it's kind of, I mean, the shape looks pretty much a good fit for brevipees, but your spores are just much larger.
Oh, okay. Okay. But it's a good point to start looking to see what I can find. Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, now I have one more person, Dave.
Okay, we could go fast through these. I think there's one or two.
Yeah, this is.
Oh, this is pretty cool.
Yes.
These are really small. Found this in
Very unusual.
Vermont. Yeah, very unusual shape.
Looks like oyster
When you
shells.
see them, if you know the species, when you see it, you know it almost immediately. There's really not much of anything else that looks like this. And so you might think it's a Crepidotus of some kind, but it's got white spores. I didn't get any spores out of these, or else I would have taken a picture of them. But grows on wood. And I'm pretty sure, I would have to double check this. I'm pretty sure when these are really young, they have a white partial veil.
Yes, it covers the whole thing. There are remnants
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, you can see the remnants. Okay. Yeah, pretty cool little species. They're fun to find because, well, it's not one you see very often, and they're really small, so it's easy to pass by. But there was a big fruiting of them there. There must have been, like 50 of them on
Do
this
you
one
know
log.
what kind of wood?
Yeah, I don't know, but we were in mainly hardwood, birch, beech, ash, maple, stuff like that. There were some hemlocks here and there.
Because it says alnus. I found it only once in 5 years. I found it once, and it says on alnus, but I don't know if they like other kind of hardwoods. I don't even know how.
Aloes,
alnus
what kind of tree is that?
Oh, maybe I'm saying the wrong name. No, forget it.
No, I know you probably are. I just don't know the Latin for the tree.
A-L-N-U-S.
What is that? What's Almos tree? Almus or
N.
Elm?
Alnus. Yeah, what tree is that?
Slippery elm?
I have a book. Someone look online. I don't. Oh no, I can't find it. Nah.
Just this mushroom.
And I found it only once in Amico Island, where there are no conifers, only hardwood, but I don't know which one is an alnus. So
Alnus is alder.
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 Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, there's probably some alder where I was as well.
Oh, okay.
What is
There
the
might-
name
there
of
might
this
be.
mushroom?
Yeah, what's the name? We cannot see the name.
Tectela
Tectella,
patellaris.
yeah, Tectella petallaris. Yeah.
Oh,
They're
it's
very-
written on the MO. Can we see the MO page, please?
Yeah, you can just show the MO
Do
page.
it. I don't know how to do it. Wait, let me see. I don't know. how
Don't
to
close
do
that.
it.
No, click on the X. Just escape or hit escape.
Like that? Okay. Oh boy. Go to the original. Tectela patellaris.
There it is.
Tell her.
Yeah, so that was in Vermont.
All right.
Is that something that occurs on the northern edge of the country, or it's kind of Pan-American?
I think it's probably a northern thing because the other time I found it, I think was in the winter actually. So this
Because
one had me stumped.
Yeah,
I found this last year and I couldn't figure it out. And I posted on Mushroom Observer as a tricholoma because I just couldn't think of anything else. And the gills looked kind of notched, but I wasn't really convinced of that. But this is Humidicutus pura. It's a pure white Humidicutus. And I just kept looking around and found the name on the Quebec site, and it's also in the wax cap book, but I think they call it Hygrocebi pura. And I'm not even sure they show a picture of it in the wax cap book. I have it right here, actually.
This type is very robust.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a very resilient mushroom. It's kind of, well, most Humidicutus are not, they're kind of fragile. They're easy to break apart. And this is kind of like that too. And I'm pretty sure that stipe is hollow. I probably should have cut it in half to look at it. Let me see. Do they actually have a picture in the wax cap book? Not illustrated. Okay. So Hygrocebi pura, but then now it's Humidicutus pura. And the Humidicutus name makes a lot of sense to me because it really reminds me of a Humidicutus mushroom, but most of those are really bright. The other species are brightly colored with really brightly colored gills. So it was just an interesting one because it had me stumped for a year, and I found it in the same place, the same location at the same time of year last year and now on Sunday, this past Sunday.
So is this a subset of what used to be Hygrocebi?
Yes. The Humidicutus is a genus that was split off of Hygrocebi. I don't know how long ago. There's a handful of species. It's not a real big genus. And they all have pretty widely spaced gills, wide gills. Most of them are really colorful though. So this one reason why this one threw me off for quite a long time. And I didn't get spores from this one, but I got spores from the one that I found last year. And the spore dimensions matched up very well with what you would expect, which really had me wondering, calling it tricholoma last year, because most tricholomas have really small spores. And I think the spores for this thing, I think some of them were over 10 microns long, which would be really, really big for a tricholoma. Okay, so we can move on.
Oh, wait, I
Yeah,
did the same one. I'm sorry. It's the third. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Third.
What do we have here now? Let's see. I forget what I sent you. I had so many things. Oh, I haven't seen this species for such a long time. It's been many, many years. And I've seen it several times this year. It seems to like oak woods.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So it looks kind of like a russula, but you look at the underneath and it's got clearly the waxy gills so it's a Hygrophorus. It's Hygrophorus russula. So it's one of these mushrooms that has a species name that's a genus. It's actually edible. It's not spectacular, but you can eat it. Yeah, I don't think I've seen this species for over 20 years.
Wow.
And the gills seem a lot more connected than our usual russula.
Yeah. Yeah, the gills are waxy though. It's got the whole mushroom has a waxy kind of texture.
I cannot make them bigger. I'm sorry. I don't know how.
You have to click on the original image. It's down below.
Yeah, where it says show original image, you click down there. See on the lower left?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get to the image and they go there. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, the spores are not all that exciting though. It's Hygrocebi spores are pretty boring actually. So, or Hygrophorus spores. They basically, actually, there is one interesting thing about Hygrophorus spores. A lot of times they're a little bit collapsed. And you can see some of these, the walls are a little bit collapsed here and there. But other than that, they're not all that exciting. You can move on.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting thing to find because I haven't found it in a long time.
Nice. That's beautiful.
That's an interesting species. And those were really nice, really good condition. Let's see, what do we have now? I forget.
Clavariadelphos
Oh yeah, Clavariadelphus unicolor. So I've been finding a few of these Clavariadelphus this fall, and so this one I got some spores from, and the spore measurements together with the wrinkled fruit bodies and the somewhat truncate apices with, they're kind of truncate, but they're really very irregular on the tops. And you put together the spore dimensions with the overall appearance of this thing and the occurrence in oak woods, and you get Clavaria delphis unicolor. So that's a cool looking little thing.
It is. It's very weird.
Hey,
Was that a truffle or something like a false truffle? What is?
It's a club fungus.
Club, okay.
Yeah, it's above ground. And another Helvella. And,
Macropus.
yeah, so I managed to, I'm pretty sure this is Helvella. What did I have there?
Macropus.
Macropus, yeah. And so, you know, I got some micro traits and they all matched up with Macropus. And these are these little gray stalked cups. These were in a grassy area. There were some conifers not far away.
Wow.
So they have kind of this textured underside. You can see it's kind of like sandpaper kind of.
Mhm.
And
on
the inside, yeah, this is the underside there. And the inside of the cup is gray and it's pretty smooth. So yeah, and there you can see the inside of the cup is gray and pretty smooth. And I got some micro with this too. And I forget exactly what it was about the micro that was useful. If you can't figure out how to go on to the next picture, that's all right. Oh, there we go. So these are supposed to have one big gutule. That's that round thing in the middle. It's a oil drop, sometimes they call them. And it's supposed to have two small ones, one on either pole. But I did a little more research and I found out that it doesn't always have well-defined. The smaller gutules are a lot of times broken up into a bunch of little ones, or even like indistinct kind of content.
Yep.
So the one here that's just above the arrow to the right, one of the small gutules is sort of intact. Yeah, right there. And the other end is, they're kind of broken up. And also this species, that's right, this species, they describe the shape of the spores as fusoid. But they're just barely fusoid, really. Fusoid meaning instead of elliptic, the ends are a little bit more of a sharp corner.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
here you see more pointy.
a little more of a sharp corner than an ellipsoid spore.
Oh, I see
So,
what you're saying.
and the dimensions matched up really well with what you're supposed to see with Macropus. So, and Macropus is probably the most common of these stocked cups in Helvella. Interesting, because what we started the night with that Helvella crispa, and this thing here is in the same genus. Doesn't really look anything like the Helvella crispa. So interesting contrast there. I found this in Vermont also. Really pretty strikingly colorful little mushrooms on the forest floor. It was a little bit wet and rainy that day, so they're a little wetter than usual. But I thought, oh, those look pretty cool, and they look like they're really in perfect condition. So I picked a few of them, and I looked at the gills. When I looked at the gill, I noticed, oh, those are marginate gills. They're dark. See, the edges of the gills are dark. They call that marginate. And then further inspection revealed that these mushrooms have yellow liquid in them. They're a bleeding mycena, but they're not one of the red bleeding mycenas. It's a yellow bleeding mycena.
Wow.
And this is Mycena Atkins, I think it's Atkinsoniana.
That you wrote that in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's
so those are pretty nice, I thought. So I collected them and took photos of them, and I think I got spores out of those too. But that's okay. I guess that's it for me.
Yeah. Oh, okay. No more photos? Oh, you got few
Yeah,
details.
I think you got to the bottom of the list there. Oh, more photos with this. Oh,
Yeah,
there's a picture of the underside. You can probably see
Oh,
Yeah, see, see up in the upper left, see that little tiny round thing? That's a bead of yellow liquid.
Oh, right there?
Yeah, right there. That's a little
Wow.
bead of yellow liquid. And you also see how the gill edges are kind of like this purplish. So the gill faces are all this creamy sort of
Beautiful.
off-white, and the
Look
gill
at this
edges are
gill.
this purplish.
They look at this one.
Yeah, you can really see
Amazing.
that one.
Yes, in
Yeah.
front. Yeah, amazing. Cool
Yeah,
photo.
so that just said, it's not every day I find a Mycena and I examine it and see a few different traits and then say, oh, I know what species this Mycena is.
Mhm.
A lot of
Wow.
times it just ends up being Mycena, and I don't get much further. But this one I was able to identify.
Mycenas have always this, they all have the same type of spores.
Yeah, but the size varies.
Yeah.
At least you have variability in size, and I think all the true Mycenas have amyloid spores.
Okay.
I think some of the things that have been split off from Mycena, like Hemimycena, for instance, might have spores that are not amyloid. But I
Oh,
think that, and some of the Mycena spores might be weakly amyloid as well. So, but yeah, Mycena spores pretty much all look the same, but at least the size varies. Some Mycena spores don't get, much above 7 microns, and then some are all the way up to 14, 15 microns. So at least you have variability in size, and sometimes that's helpful to try to get an ID.
okay. Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
What was that video of? Was that Costello?
The movie?
Oh,
What are you talking about?
there's a frame that's showing up in between
Oh.
observations. There it was.
Oh, oh. Okay. I don't think that I have anybody else. Here.
I have a photo, just one if anyone would like to see it.
See, let me stop my screen. Stop share. All right.
Well, if you like. Well, this is I think the first true identification I've ever done.
We don't see it yet.
There we go.
Oh, it's coming. Okay.
Yep, these were growing behind my house. A year ago, a tree had to be cut down and sectionalized because hurricane season, you know how it is. And these started to grow just recently all over it. And I was like, okay, great. And I decided to try and identify it. I even talked to Marius about it because, he's the guy with all the books. And it looked like a Pholiota, and all the photos that I saw, though, were completely different. They weren't growing sideways out of a log. They had far longer stems, a much more bulbous gill base, from what you could see here, and the gills were also much later. But I decided to make a spore print right here. So it was indeed a brown spore print, nice and feathery. And indeed, it was that I don't know why that's there.
We only see the first picture you showed with them on the log. Do you?
Okay.
If you click on the photo itself, there you go. We could see the spore print now.
Yep. And it indeed was a Pholiota aurivella or aurivella.
Aurivella. Yeah,
Yep.
the only problem is that within the past 10 years or so, there's been another species name applied, Pholiota limonella, and they're virtually identical morphologically, but they have different size spores.
Yep.
So yeah, so you actually have to scope the spores to know if you have Aurivella or limonella. But if you ID'd this as Aurivella, that's good. That's good. You did a good job, because that's pretty much as far as you're going to get without a microscope on this one.
Yeah, because this is just like one of the few species I found that grows in this way. Because most of the photos I found it grows straight out of the grounds with a long stem and a very bulbous gill base. But yeah, these ones were, yeah, I'm rather proud of this. This is my first real true identification, and
Cool.
that's
Yeah,
about it.
a lot of times they look like the ones you have here, where they have like the curved stalks, so that they'll be coming out of a log or a tree, and the stalk will curve then, so that the cap is oriented upward, so that the gills are oriented downward. A lot of times they'll do that. And they're big. They're pretty big. Aravella and Limonella are both form pretty big mushrooms. And the cap is usually at least a little bit sticky. And there's not as many scales as the scaly foliotas, the Squarosoides and Squarosa. So
Yeah, these ones were definitely on the lower level of scales. So,
yeah, not a whole lot of scales. Like a few pretty big scales that tend to be, they kind of flatten out too as the mushroom gets older.
yeah, definitely collected around the center tip too. So,
It will turn red if you put KOH on it.
I really have to get myself some of that.
Yeah. Nina, do both of Aravella and Limonella do that? Do you know?
I think so.
Okay.
I read about what you said, Dave, the difference in the size of the spores will make the difference in the species.
Yeah, it's a notable difference. It's like a 2 or 3 micron difference on the maximum length. So it's a fairly notable difference, but you need to use a scope for that.
Evan, do you have a picture of the gills?
Yes, let's see if I could bring that back up again. Just a sec.
In the right side of your photo at the center, there should be an arrow to go to the next photo.
Yep, there was, but I wouldn't trust that. My computer's been very weird with
Okay.
what comes up next. Stuff that's not even on my desktop.
Okay.
Like, but what the?
In that case, if you close this photos print and open the other one, and then you can unshare right now and then reshare when you open it. Yeah.
There we go. Yep. There are the gills.
And some of them are fused at the base.
Mm-hmm.
At the right.
Well, actually, note that they're slightly separated. It looks kind of fused, but they are disconnected a bit.
Oh, okay.
Well, some of them look like they're fused. Look on the right, on the far right middle.
You
from
guys
up
are talking
down.
about the stipes and he's talking about the gills, I think.
Oh. Yeah,
Oh.
the stipes are fused. Yeah, the bottoms. See that
Oh
right
yeah,
there?
yeah.
They're fused.
Those are fused.
Right. Yeah. Do you see how what I was talking about before, where the stipes are curved so that the caps are oriented upward?
Mhm.
Yeah, almost all of them are like that.
Look at the
And the
fused
stalks,
scales.
yeah, the stalks tend to be a little scaly on the Aravella, Limonella types also, but not always.
I was very impressed by the spore print too. It was rather ethereal compared to other ones that I've seen. It was just like that was the youngest one I was able to find, but even then it had probably released most of its spores and was still able to make something that dense. Like these ones are busy.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And look at the scales on the cap at the center of the picture you're showing, like the distance between the few caps. No, on the one that is at the right. The ones that are at the right, the bigger ones that are fused, the cap,
Mm-hmm.
the
Oh, yeah.
scales on the cap.
Exactly. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Oh yeah. Well, that's all I really had to share, and I'm feeling quite proud of myself that I was able to identify it.
Good.
with the help of Marius, of course. yes.
Somebody had one more mushroom to share. Are you still there, Lauren? Lauren?
Hi, yeah, I'm here. It
You
just
have
takes
one
me,
more mushroom to share? Okay.
it just takes me a couple moments to run over from my couch.
Oh, okay. A couple of moments.
Yeah, well, I'm across the room, so when I hear my name, I'm like, oh crap, I gotta get
Okay.
out from underneath my blanket and all that stuff.
Okay.
Oh, this one. This was down the street from the other ones I found. So this was under all hardwoods. Hmm.
Looks fresh.
I wonder, I have one of the gills, but I don't know where it went. Hold on, let me look through.
Did you get a sport print color for this?
I just picked these a couple of hours ago. So I came home, had to make and eat dinner. Haven't had any chance to do anything with them yet, but I can do it. I can do it as soon as we end this. I don't know what happened to the gills. Okay, well.
Oh, you didn't upload them.
Hold on, Mike says go to the folder. Let's see. Where is the folder? Is this the folder? Oh, here. Oh, there
These
it
look
is.
somewhat waterlogged. It's kind of difficult to make out the details of the cap.
Yeah, but it reminds me of Hebeloma, but you know, we would need to see more.
Here it
Need to
is.
have more details.
Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a distinctive smell, but I can't tell you what it was. Like
Yeah, I don't think that's Hebeloma.
Yeah, these look more like a tricholoma.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I just don't know which
Tricholoma.
one.
Yeah.
Because tricholomas have like that typically, do they typically have like that really short, stout stipe?
Yep.
Some do and some don't, but a lot do because they're
Okay.
late occurring mushrooms. So they tend to like to hang close to the ground because when they grow during cold weather.
Mm.
But they see the gills, how the gills are notched attached. There's like a
Yes.
deep notch.
Mhm.
Yeah, now there's other types of mushrooms that have deeply notched gills, but tricholoma in particular, I pretty much, if not all, then most species have deeply notched gill attachment.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, that's it.
Thank you, Lauren.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. I think that we are on time. It's 9:01. Thank you for your contributions and your help.
Thanks, Marisol.
Okay. Good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
Marcel.
Good job, Maricel.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Marisol.
Maricel.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
As always.
Good night.